The next thing we're going to take a look at involves blending modes, but in a less non-destructive sense. Everything we've done where we use a blending mode on these layers here, we could change it around. This is an overlay right now. I can switch it to soft light. I can switch it to color. I can do whatever I want, and it will simply update. It'll change the rules for how this layer interacts with the pixels below. But did you guys know that you can put blending modes on your brushes? You can. Now, it's not non-destructive in the sense that you can't try one blending mode on the brush. If you don't like it, just switch the blending modes and the visual result will change. Once the pixels are created, they're created in that blending mode. Open up the image called Stubble Trouble. And let's say you were doing a portrait of a banking executive or whatever, and he was nicely clean shaven, but he missed a spot. I mean, this guy here, he's got a little stubble all over the place. To try to do this would take you a really long time. But let's say he shaved everything, but he missed a little patch over here. It would take a long time to go through bit by bit and pick out all those little specks of stubble. And to try to grab from somewhere and put it over top, you're not necessarily guaranteed that the color of the skin or the gradient on that area is going to match up. But what if we tried a different blending mode on the clone stamp? I'm going to duplicate this layer just, in case things go tragically wrong. So Command J. I'm going to grab my clone stamp, and look at this. We have all the same blending modes on the stamp itself as we have on our layers. And same thing for the paintbrush. So if I were to take this clone stamp and set it to, say, lighten, I now have a clone stamp where the rule is the pixels that I'm trying to clone over will be visible only if they're capable of lightening the pixels below. And look at the skin around the stubble. So we got a little black speck there. That skin has a certain brightness to it. This skin is darker than this skin. So if I were to sample from here and clone over here, in the lighten blending mode, this skin will not be capable of lightening that skin because that skin is lighter, so nothing will happen. But is this skin capable of lightening the stubble? Indeed it is. Watch this. So I'm going to sample up here. Doink, I've sampled it. Now I move down below. Now the preview doesn't show the result of the blending mode, but if I click and start dragging, look at what's happening. The little black bits of stubble are getting replaced by the skin from up here. The skin itself isn't getting touched, only the stubble. So as long as I clone from a darker area, boink, into a lighter area, those little black bits of stubble are going to disappear. Now, like I said, this doesn't mean that you can go around and make this guy clean shaven, or you couldn't go around and make me look clean shaven. But if a little bit got missed here, maybe a little bit on the chin there, find an area of skin that's just a little bit darker than the area of skin with the stubble on it, sample it, paint it over in lighten blending mode. And I've worked this with a little bit of glossy kind of highlights on skin. They got some texture skin, and you got little highlights on there. In darken blending mode, you can do the same thing, but take out those little reflective highlights that give a sense of that oily sheen to the skin. So work away around the image. There's some on the neck, there's some on the chin. Other work as you see fit. You'll notice there's some other little blemishes in there that may not work with the blending mode. And when you're done with that blending mode, always remember to put it back to normal. Otherwise, you'll be working away on something else and you'll be like, that's not doing what I expect. Yeah, if somebody comes in and they really are unshaven, like all over, just take like a blowtorch or something and singe everything off. Because to try to do it with this, it's going to be way too slow. But try some of the other techniques too. Like take a look on the screen for a second. I did a little bit of, okay, maybe a bit much on the eyes. But I kind of, played around, darkened his eyebrows a bit. A little bit of extra contrast around the eyes. Notice I did a little bit of lightening on the colored part of the eye. We're going to take a look at that a little bit later on as well. Just kind of enhancing the contrast around the eyes. Remember the unsharp mask looks for edges and adds contrast? By adding a little bit of lightness, darkness around the eyes, we're able to kind of stand them out, kind of make them appear sharper in a sense.
So professional.
Isn't it? Oh, you know what? My mistake was I used Helvetica. Palatino's much better. Actually, Valentino's not bad.